Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Predicting the All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing card. I'm Ollie Davis. This is the other one, Luke Owen. Welcome to my first time in the new WrestleRamble set with, yes, microphones on arms. Yeah, we're going to get a little pop shield. So apologies for all the P's. Penelope Ford is one person. I think she's the only P person. Oh, Pac. Hangman
Pac.
Page.
Yeah, there's a few in there.
When you start looking for them, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So sorry for all the P-pops, but we've got fun. This isn't where the new stuff stops.
Exactly. We teased this on the NXT review, but this is just phase one of the. Well, technically it's phase two of the new setup because getting the new set was like phase one. So we're in phase two at the moment, but really phase three, which is the end game, is just around the corner.
Yeah, but we won't dither too much on that. We'll save that for the podcast. We're here to talk about All Elite Wrestling. Chat me up, Luke Owen, about the big ticket launch party thing.
Yeah, did you watch it?
No.
So,
I was here building the set.
Yes, but you didn't feel like watching it this morning? I suppose you had to watch Elimination Chamber 2011.
And my freaking car was
got
broken
broken
into. So, yes, I'll leave this one to you.
Terrible. Don't watch NXT. Don't watch AEW. Do you even like wrestling?
No, I hate it. This is such a horrible life.
Ooh, I've wasted my life. So All Elite Wrestling held their second rally. This one was at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. This was the ticket announcement party for Double or Nothing, which is going to be the follow-up show to All In. I suppose really the big takeaway from this, because I've seen a few people that were a bit down on this. Andy Datson came into the office this morning and was like, well, that was pointless. Pointless. He didn't seem very enthused about it at all. But I thought actually it was pretty good. We've got some new names on there, and there wasn't any aside from Kenny Omega, no big oh my effing Jesus name. But it was names that we'd already sort of heard, like Sammy Guevara and Kylie Ray and the Lucha Brothers and Chucky T and Trent Beretta. In fact, really, Nyla Rose is about the only name that we weren't really expecting, I guess, because she hadn't been linked to AEW or like Aja Kong or something like that. But really, the big takeaway from this show is that they announced pre-sale codes for Double or Nothing. So they said, we're not going to make the same mistakes we did with All In. So you can go to allelitewrestling.com now.
Running wildly overtime matches.
Yes. We're not going to. We're going to launch this on All Elite Wrestling. You go to there, and then you can register your interest, and that will get you a code, and then you can use that code on the the pre-order, which is on Monday, and that will guarantee you a ticket. Already, I feel like this might have been an error because, according to Cody on Jim Ross...
It'll guarantee you a ticket.
Well, I think they were sort of skirting around that, but they were saying we're not trying to make the same mistakes we did. Because essentially what you've done is you've done a pre-sale before the pre-sale. And he said on Jim Ross's podcast that the MGM Grand, a strong estimate would be 11,600 seats in that building. No more than that. That's a strong estimate. And by 10:15 p.m. on Thursday night, they'd sold 12,000 codes. And there's only going to be more people registering their interest. The website crashed. There were that many people trying to get onto it. So I suppose that's really the big takeaway from it, was that they announced tickets and they broke their website and they've already sold out their second show, which is actually a great thing. Like Nick and Cody were laughing about this in a press conference afterwards. It's like, yeah, the website crashed, but it's a good crash. It's a good kind of crash. It was okay. We're quite happy with this crash.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. This shows that there's a lot of interest and excitement around it, and I think all the people who didn't go to All In, because there was an argument about All In, whether that was the peak, that was the climax of this outside WWE wrestling bubble, and really that was sort of the money shot where it's a spectacular moment, but then you don't feel that interested in what you're watching afterwards because the big thing's over. But this shows that there's more people who I bet everyone who went wants to go to the next one because they feel like they're part of something building from the ground up.
It's like progress in its early days.
Yeah, which I was a part of because I liked it before it was cool. And a bunch of other people who thought, I'm not going to go to that one. But then they saw how fun it was, got massive, is it FOMO? Fear of missing out?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So a lot of people
I only learned about this week, FOMO.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I imagine. I mean, it's really good that they've sold out again. It's just I wish they went for a larger building. Because the first one sold, although the 10,000 figure, it was more like 11,000 that they crammed into the building. So they've gone for a building that's about 700 seats more in capacity.
Yeah.
But I heard
think they were probably playing it safe. Just being like, because you sold out 10,000, you don't want to say, well, we'll do 20,000 next then. You just want to sort of, I think it's probably a smart play, but at the same time, you're like, if only you'd have picked a bigger building.
There's also the thing, register your interest, to me sounds like my birthday parties on Facebook. The amount of people who say they're coming is drastically higher than the people who turn up.
Go, exactly, yeah.
Joe. So maybe you're actually looking more at 50% of the people who have signed up already. But this is fitting with the 30 minutes sellout before. And like you said, if tickets don't go on sale till Monday, in which case, what was the thing? It was a ticket announcement party.
Yeah.
So you're announcing that tickets are going to go on sale.
And when they're going to go on sale. I guess that was kind of the point of it. But also...
not a launch party.
No. And also All Elite are very much in this sort of mode at the moment where I think they're using these rallies to kind of like drip feed you information about this product. Because like they didn't make any major announcements like a TV deal, even though reportedly there is a major one in the works. Or they didn't bring in, some really, really big names other than Kenny Omega. But...
and Pentagon and Phoenix. This is so. I woke up and I read the sort of spoilers of what happened, and then I watched a few clips and talking to Randy Datz, and I was like, yeah. I mean, it didn't feel as big as the other one, and then I sat back and I thought, Kenny Omega's confirmed. Pentagon Jr.'s confirmed. Jimmy Havoc confirmed 2 days ago, who's one of my favourite wrestlers in the UK.
One of your favourite people in the UK.
It's like. This is huge.
It's a huge thing.
It's actually
right?
a very huge thing, but because it's been so expected, and because they did the angle with the Lucha Bros, I think last weekend.
Yeah,
it's kind of they did shoot themselves in the foot for this being a big reveal moment.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like we were saying at sort of the top of this show, everyone that was there were people that you sort of expected to be there, and even like the names that weren't there. You already know are going there, like Jimmy Havoc or B. Priestley or someone along those lines. So if Jimmy and B are at the next shows, you're like, well, yeah, I expected them to be there. So yeah, it's kind of this sort of double-edged sword there at the moment, where they're being linked to so many names, and it just seems to be those names that they're linked to are then signed. The Lucha Brothers one is really interesting, and what I thought was kind of the most fascinating thing about this rally, just sort of moving the conversation along ever so slightly with the Lucha Brothers, thank you for that, was their partnership that they've announced with AAA, which I thought was very, very interesting. Figure 4 called it a politically interesting move because New Japan Pro Wrestling have a relationship with CMLL, which is obviously then a relationship with Ring of Honor. And it almost feels like, I think some people are speculating that perhaps they've gone with AAA because that way they can do sort of like a cross-promotion of talent and they don't have to try and get into bed with CMLL and therefore not New Japan, who at the moment, Harold Meij, when he was talking to Yahoo Sports in Japan, seemed very unenthused about like joining a relationship with AEW.
I think that's so short-sighted. I feel like there is a bit of an honor thing holding them back here. Literally, with Ring of Honor being the US promotion New Japan and CMLL have working relationships with.
Yeah.
And also kind of a pride thing. I think this promotion, this young upstart thing, has taken a lot of your talent. Like the Young Bucks, hugely popular in New Japan, along with Kenny Omega, who was the top champion just a few months ago.
I was going to say, you look at those American shows that they did quite recently, and all the reports that came out of them. I know they had the visa issues, but like all the reports that came out of them were just like, these were not very good shows at all.
Yeah. I feel like that there's sort of an emotional reason beyond a political strategic reason for New Japan not just saying, okay, sorry, we're dropping everything and going with AEW. Also, like I feel like the culture in Japan would honor pre-existing working arrangements anyway, so they've got a long-running deal with Ring of Honor.
Exactly.
So they wouldn't just jump into a new thing.
And the report is as well that New Japan were very upset that AEW took Trent Beretta from them.
Oh yeah, I guess he was another signing with the Best
T.
Friends and Chucky T. And Trent Beretta has been a large part of New Japan for a long time, teaming with Rocky Romero, part of What faction was he part of? I'm just going to say Chaos.
As good as guess as any.
Probably at one point he was. And the Best Friends had wrestled a lot in Ring of Honor as well. So, yeah, that's another interesting thing. But as always, there's one loser here, and it's Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, well, so the reports are with the Lucha Brothers contract that they've got with AEW is they're allowed to work with other promotions because they're quite prominent within Impact Wrestling, I would argue at the moment.
And Major League Wrestling, MLW.
And MLW, yeah, exactly. And Pentagon Jr., one of the reported reasons why he turned down a WWE offer last year when WWE were aggressively going after the Lucha Brothers, one of the reasons that Pentagon turned down the offer is he wants to work with New Japan. And like Chris Jericho, he's allowed to still work with New Japan under his AEW contract. So I guess so Lucha Brothers can still do that, but where that leaves Impact is a grey area, I suppose. But interestingly, AAA have a relationship with Impact.
Yeah.
Conan is working both of them. He's the head of creative for both Impact and AAA. So is there then going to be some sort of relationship between AEW and Impact that we haven't really supposed to discuss because we've all been talking about Ring of Honor and New Japan?
Well, yeah, and Impact seem to be open to everyone because they've got a lot of groundwork to make up for after the last few years.
Unfortunately so.
And they were working with Ring of Honor just last year when Austin Aries would turn up in Ring of Honor and challenge people for their mid-card titles despite being the top champion in Impact.
And back with the Hardys, they were meant to be doing some stuff with the Young Bucks. Like they'd arranged to do some matches with the Hardys. The reason why the Hardys went to Ring of Honor is because the idea was the Bucks were then going to come over to Impact, and that just never worked. Impact always seemed to be
there was a regime change during that time.
Yeah. Impact always seemed to be the ones that will give you talent, and then we never get anything back in return, which is a real shame for them, I guess.
I think Impact would love to work with All Elite Wrestling, but if I'm AEW. And I like Impact, remember. I don't want anything to do with Impact because Impact to me, well, in AEW's eyes, I imagine, has so much of the TNA aura about it. And TNA was the last North American promotion that really tried to take it to WWE, and they didn't succeed at all.
It's almost a poison name at this
point,
which is really unfortunate for them. And they're on sort of Pursuit channel at the moment and sort of like streaming things on Twitch, and it just isn't seem to be really working out for them at the moment.
It's a shame because I want to see Austin Aries in AEW. I didn't realise that until this week. Of all the free agents and names, no one said Austin Aries.
No.
But he's a huge player in this, surely.
I want OVE. I want OVE.
Sami Callihan versus Jimmy Havoc.
I was going to say Sammy with the Christs going over to AEW, and that's great. That's money to me.
Well, maybe I think Impact, the best thing for Impact is they get a bit of the AEW rub, and maybe that's how All Elite benefit from it. They get some talent from Impact, and Impact can kind of jostle their way up. Another interesting thing, we'll get to Double or Nothing in a moment.
There was a lot to talk about from the rally.
There was a lot to talk about from that rally where we're all disappointed and nothing happened.
So, yeah.
Is that Kenny Omega is also a co-executive vice president of AEW, not just a performer, which I think I did not see that coming. For me, that's actually alongside the AAA announcement in terms of surprise, because all the wrestling and talent and matches that were set up, I think we all saw coming. But the low-key political stuff coming out of this is really, really interesting. And Omega is such a creative guy, and he has a certain perception of wrestling, how it should be pretty much an anime, which I love. I'm fully behind this. The way he presents himself and films those intro packages and makes his entrances special for Wrestle Kingdom matches. It will be really interesting to see what he brings to the co-executive role. Obviously, Cody seems to be the business brain. Mm-hmm. The Bucks seem to be the social media merch geniuses. Kenny could be the last part of this quadrant that really brings the artistic value to it. And Chris Jericho, also as reported, has a lot of sway in the promotion.
I bet you he has.
Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, who do they both love? Don Callis of Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
So he's the guy that got those two together to have the Wrestle Kingdom match, which arguably a lot of this all-in stuff can be traced back to as much as Dave Meltzer's original tweet with Cody.
Completely, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Impact side of things plays out. They could even, when we all said, out of all of this, Ring of Honor and Impact are the losers no matter what happens, Impact might have found a way to go up in top. I've convinced myself the other way. I started off saying Impact were doomed.
They stand the most to gain from AEW, I would argue, because at the moment, AEW are almost at war. People keep saying like AEW are in war with WWE, but really they're more like in war with Ring of Honor and New Japan, because they are part of this sort of really big. They're a really big sector of this talent bidding war that's currently going on, of these companies just trying to sign people to exclusive contracts. Dave Meltzer said there's never been a better time to be a wrestler, because if you're a free agent in particular, you have got various companies that are going to be coming to you offering you exclusive deals, but also with the ability to go and wrestle elsewhere and this, that, and the other. WWE would be about the only one where they're like, you're here and you're here alone. Everyone else would be like, you can be here, but if you really want to, especially when you're working into the contract, you can go over here as well. Impact are never part of that conversation, though, because they're not trying to sign people to exclusive contracts. And that then allows their talent to be more free. And as you say, to be like, okay, well, we can give you X, Y, and Z to do double or nothing if we can have ABC to come over and work Slammiversary or Bound for Glory or something like that.
Which they'll never get.
Well, no, what they'll do is they'll send...
Lost it in the post.
Yeah, they'll send OVE, like for double or nothing, and they'll get back the Lucha Brothers, who they've already got.
Yeah, good point. So, talking about the actual Double or Nothing card and those Lucha Bros, there weren't any new matches set. Oh no, there was one new match set up, which was SCU of Christopher Daniels, Scorpio Sky, and Frankie Kazarian versus
Shima.
Is that how you
Shima,
say?
yeah.
Shima.
Yeah.
Shima, who is a Chinese wrestler from OWE.
I don't know if he is Chinese.
Is he not? I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to quickly.
I'm not familiar with him, and OWE keeps auto-correcting in my head as OVW. So that's throwing me off a lot. But they're a Chinese promotion that have a working relationship with AEW.
Yeah, he's Japanese.
The only one...
because he was trained by Ultimo Dragon. Yeah.
It's because... I know who he is.
I suddenly realized, I was like, I don't think he is Chinese, because the story is he went to China to launch professional wrestling over there.
Yeah, and he's got a cool backstory as part of a faction, from what I can remember. That's very vague. And so you've got that match. I'm sure that'll be fine. That's like your sort of mid-card filler.
A good sort of debut for the OWE guys to really like sort of put them onto an American stage and be like, and you couldn't have picked a partner or opponents rather than Christopher Daniels and Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, really.
Yeah, Daniels, the master of making everyone look great.
He's so talented.
Also, it's interesting how AEW's first partnership is with a Chinese promotion. And you think of all the stuff WWE did a few years ago to try and break into that Chinese market.
Yeah.
All Elite Wrestling, maybe this is their actual big plan to globalize that way.
It's interesting, but although I did see someone posted on the Wrestling Observer boards who lives in China that OWE is kind of seen as a bit of a joke amongst, because like from what I can gather from what stuff that I've read, China as a country has zero interest in professional wrestling. And this was kind of an experiment, but it's an experiment that hasn't really worked because it's almost like an impenetrable market. It's just a country that's not interested in wrestling whatsoever.
Yeah, just a cultural thing. Well, we'll see on that one. But there's also the already announced from the first rally they did, Hangman Page versus Pac. I see that as being I feel like you've got three main events of this show. That's one of them. And didn't they say that would be for the title?
They don't say it's for the title, but they very much said this is the main event picture within this brand, within this company. These two are part of this main event scene because Pac's promo was all about how I've been places where I've never been seen. Or I've got a glass ceiling. I've never been at this level. And yeah, you had Alex Marvez and Conrad saying like these are the main eventers of All Elite Wrestling. So I'd imagine it will be for the title. It will be to crown the first champion, but that's as of yet unannounced.
Yeah, or maybe a number one contenders thing.
Could be, yeah.
Because Hangman Page, when he was interrupted by Pac in that first rally, he was talking about how he wants to be the first champion. And that's when Pac came out with these stupidly named Open the Dream Gate Dragon Gate Championship.
You love it.
Oh, What an awful. It sounds like it's going to go on a motivational poster, that title.
It looks like the sort of posters that are hanging around this office.
But so that you've got that, I imagine that's third from the top. You've got, do the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros get the main event position?
No, absolutely not.
Well,
No.
they got the main event for the last one, and they were cheated out of time.
Omega Jericho is the main event here.
I agree. So Young Bucks and Lucha Bros is the co-main event.
Yes.
In WrestleMania terms.
Oh, so it's going on first.
Opening the show. And that's not the worst idea.
Absolutely,
though.
it's really not.
I wouldn't do it. I'm a much bigger fan of putting your most important matches on closer to the end of the card.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole idea of opening with a bang. I like a steady build. Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, neither of those two matches have been confirmed, but the angles that happened at the ticket announcement party set those up. So when Omega was announced, Fozzy interrupted him.
Yeah, Jericho came out and they got into a fight that had to be broken up by Billy Gunn and Christopher Daniels and Cody. And Jericho was pulled to the back and Kenny did his little sign-off.
And there's also, rounding out the sort of angles, was Nyla Rose versus Kylie Ray.
Yes.
I don't know who these people are.
I'm unfamiliar with Kylie Rose. I'm also more or less unfamiliar with Kylie Ray as well. Nyla Rose. I've even said it wrong.
I'm not familiar with the combination of both these people.
I'm unfamiliar with a name I've just made up. I'm unfamiliar with Nyla Rose in particular, but also Kylie Ray, other than the pictures I've seen where she wears a Pikachu top.
Talk about all in there.
But this this feels like it's setting the stage for what their women's division is going to be. Dave Meltzer's been talking about this on Wrestling Observer Radio, and other people have as well, that All Elite, AEW's biggest hurdle that they're going to have is their women's division, because WWE spent last year hoovering up all of the best talent from around the world in terms of the women's wrestlers. That's why the NXT roster seems really stacked at the moment. That's why the Mae Young Classic was kind of stacked with talent as well. It's because WWE went around and went, and we just got all of them now, and they're all under our umbrella. So AEW now are just like, Kylie Ray and Nyla Rose, there's the sort of names that they can get. But it's also it's kind of a brilliant thing, because it's the same with Jungle Boy and some of these other names that they've signed. They're projects. They can put them into a sort of, we're putting these people up onto a pedestal and saying like, yeah, you don't know them now, but give it 2 months and you will do.
Yeah. Also,
making new stars.
Impact have a great women's division.
Jordan Grace, man.
Yeah, Jordan Grace, Tessa
Blanchard, yeah.
So if you merge those two, maybe you get a few talent exchanges there. I don't know. But those are the 5 both set up and confirmed matches. But we've got a big old roster of people with nothing to do at the moment.
Yeah, for a company that people used to say, like, oh, they haven't got a roster at all.
They've got 20 people.
All of a sudden, they've got this massive roster of people now to set up loads of matches.
They've got a smackdown of people. And it's like, because the people we've got here without matches aren't of the same name recognition as the people we've just talked about. But that's a stacked main event scene. Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. Cody's got nothing to do on the card.
Yep.
Actually, he's someone we've missed off. Hangman Page, Neville, Pentagon, Phoenix.
That's a good list of names you've got right there.
Yeah, and that's enough people to easily share between your top 2 titles. Or I guess the Bucks, again, there's going to be a strong tag team division. If you've got SCU, you've got the Best Friends and Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros.
Yeah.
And the Revival eventually, presumably. And the Usos, come at me.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't say for the women's division, Sasha Banks. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Randy Orton's going to turn up too.
Yeah. No
Brock
Dolph Ziggler at this show. Yeah.
No, Dolph is never leaving WWE. But the big missed opportunity here for me, and it's unfortunate, Joey Janela got injured last year. He had a cracking match with Hangman Page at All In. That's the one where the penis druids came out. Joey Ryan hasn't been announced. I don't know what his Lucha Underground status is, and whether that stops him from being a part of it.
Because I think Pentagon and Phoenix got the same deal with Lucha Underground. And so I guess it's the Lucha Underground's a really weird thing, because they are on sort of exclusive contracts, but I think there's somebody been able to work outside of the lines of those exclusive contracts.
Yeah.
Because Sonny, what's his name? The other, Sonny Kiss, sorry. He's also a Lucha Underground talent.
But my big missed opportunity is Joey Janela, who's injured, and Jimmy Havoc. You've got this madman Joey Janela and this sadist master of making your skin crawl with paper cuts and lemon juice into cuts.
You want to build to that one,
Jimmy
don't you?
Havoc.
You want to set that match up at Double or Nothing, because they've announced a third show that they're going to be doing in Jacksonville. Set that up at Double or Nothing to then pay off at the following show.
Do you really want a sort of really hardcore deathmatch vibe at a show that is aimed to raise money for survivors of gun violence? I think keep that show straight.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
bit.
I just think play that straight.
Yeah,
maybe save the death matches.
Yeah, you are right on that.
Yeah,
one.
I'd skip the battle royal as well. But that's another thing. These are only 5 matches. All In had 9 on the main card.
Yes,
and
11 including
11 in total.
Yeah.
One of those on the pre-show being the enormously fun battle royal.
It's so much fun. I actually rewatched it quite recently. It's so much fun.
And Billy Gunn is a producer. He was in that match.
Yeah, where's his kid? Where's his kid being signed?
Yeah. So I could see there also being a fun battle royal over the top, over the budget.
Yeah, over the budget battle royal.
Yeah,
great
really
name
fun.
as well. It's good to see Colt get a showing.
So in terms of, but he's on the Ring of Honor side of things now, so I imagine that takes him out of it. So much of that original show was Ring of Honor talent. So it's, I guess Nick Aldis is someone we haven't mentioned, who I'd imagine would go in. A rematch between him and Cody could be quite nice.
Yeah, I'd say. But like the draw for that match wasn't that it was Cody and Aldis. It was because it was for the NWA Championship or the NWA World Title.
Who has that? Is it Nick again?
I'll tell you, I'll Google things live on air while you fill for time.
Well, that's still a cracking half of a card, and it's really the top half. Omega versus Jericho, Page versus Pac, Bucks versus Bros.
The Wikipedia page still lists Cody Rhodes as the champion. So I don't think
maybe he is. So yeah, I think whatever. Although there's a bit of not disappointment, but I guess underwhelming feeling. I think that's more because our expectations have been built up so much. Thursday's ticket announcement party and the angles that were set up coming out of it, and even though we all knew Omega was going to sign, this is still tremendously exciting.
Isn't it just?
And I would recommend, if anyone's getting jaded, I know there's a lot of AEW news at the moment, but that's because it's one of the biggest things to happen in wrestling in 2 decades.
Yeah.
But this is an exciting time. This is something to be excited for.
I'm stunned it's turned around this quickly.
I think it's a vocal minority.
Oh, it's 100%, but it's like any vocal minority. It's the same people that were rallying against like the Ghostbusters reboot. They're the ones that you sort of like end up getting focused on because they're the loudest people. But when I was watching the stream this morning, because I had watched on a delay for the announcement party, I had to turn off the YouTube like live comments thing because every single comment was just like, "Oh, is this supposed to compete with WWE? What a joke! Who's this? Never heard of this person." It was nothing but negativity, and I'm like, "Don't need this. I do not need this in my life right now."
It makes me feel good though, because when we get negative comments, I'm like, "Oh, that's sad." But if I know Kenny Omega, the best wrestler arguably who's ever lived, who's had so many 6-star matches and 7-star matches.
Who's he ever beaten?
Yeah. And he's getting the same kind of vitriol. I'm thinking, okay, it happens to everyone.
Yeah, it's fine.
But let's get on with some crap gimmicks, talking of nobodies.
If you're wondering to yourself, what the heck is a crap gimmick? Well, that's a segment we do here each and every Saturday on the WrestleRamble, where you, the SWAF Nation, submit to us your submissions of crap gimmicks, and we, as the purveyors of crap gimmick wrestling, will decide whether or not we want to sign them to our roster. What do you think a crap gimmick is? Well, we like to think of it as that WWF style of you are a wrestler and a blank, but you can be more abstract with it. As we revealed last week, we've got a brand new way of doing this because we had such a huge backlog that was going back to August of last year that we still haven't got to yet. I'm picking one from August, and then I'm just picking them at random throughout the months and weeks that we've had since. So, starting from August, towards the end of August here, James Starlett emails in Iceman Sparks with an X. So it's.
I like the use of the X.
Oh,
Sparks is it just one X?
Yes.
That's a missed opportunity.
Should it be 3?
Yeah, 3 X's.
Absolutely. Well, if you like multiple letters, you're going to love one of the gimmicks that's coming up. So Iceman Sparks, bleached white hair and goatee, tall and muscular, wearing white contact lenses in blue and silver gear with an ice and lightning motif. When he was young, Iceman Sparks was struck by lightning. After that day, something died inside of him, and he became excessively cruel and violent, working out constantly, his nerves being dulled by childhood trauma. His finisher is a variation of the Canadian backbreaker called the Cold Shoulder.
I like the visual design.
Solid submission. It feels like this would have been submitted to a crap gimmick, like the boxer gimmicks in the WWF in the mid-90s.
Yeah, there's not much depth there. I know it's probably the wrong place to look for depth in a crap gimmick segment, but that's a really nice superficial gimmick. I felt you could dive into the punnage a bit more.
Yeah, like he doesn't feel pain.
Yeah. But yeah, cool. Okay, I like that. And again, the 2 X's, it's marked down in my estimation.
Jeremy Fain, who is one of our pledge hammers, the phenomenal one. To help add some baby faces to the roster, I submit Billy Boy Scout and Gabby Girl Scout. These two are in their early 20s who have come to CGW to earn a variety of merit badges. The quest for badges is what drives their backstage segments, feuds, and movesets. They come to the ring in typical Scout garb with a bugle charge as their entrance music. Sorry, I read that as bulge. And it... Billy slaps hands with all the fans while Gabby hands out cookies. They are both by-the-book wrestlers as they will roll out of the ring from time to time to consult their Scouts Guides to Wrestling manuals. They both use the same finisher, the salute, a saluting motion into the throat of their opponent. Thanks for the read. Have a good weekend. The phenomenal one.
I really like that one. I think the phenomenal one could have dived into the idea a bit more. I would have liked to have heard a few examples of feuds based on badges that they could get.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, like, okay, I want to get my knot tying badge. Boom. Submissions. Yeah. Or I want to get my... You could like have that the scout leader would set... Their manager would be the scout leader, right? That's what they said.
Well, they don't say that, but that's a good addition.
That's what's happened in my head. And you would have... Is it a scout leader over there? Yeah, Boy Scout, Girl Scout. You would have him saying, okay, this week we're going to get this badge. And you'd be like, how are they going to win this badge in this match? Because it's about starting a fire. And then the whole crowd could be like... And you could build to that for weeks. You could... It doesn't have to be a weekly thing. They would get the badges at the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
In Inferno matches. And the sight of seeing 2 grown adults in the Scouts outfits in an Inferno match going hell to leather, blading, just to get this little sewn-on patch.
Although funny enough, I don't know what American Scouts dress like. I know British ones because I was one and a cub. But I don't know what American Scouts like. And this is one of my favorite things with crap gimmick submissions that I've noticed after we've been doing this segment for 2 years or whatever it is. That's one of the most common phrases I hear is blank wears usual or like stereotypical, typical blank garb. Because they've come up with a gimmick, like they're a road worker. They come down to the ring in typical road worker garb. Yeah. And you're like, well, what is that?
Yeah, be more descriptive, folks. But I like that. I think that's got a lot of mileage. It's a multi-gender tag team, and I would like some mixed gender violence.
Good.
Yeah, so
excellent.
That fits well.
And this comes in from Pele on December 10th. Hello, Luke.
The Pele?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Wow.
I know. I didn't know he was a fan.
Alive?
My last knowledge of Pele was he used to do those adverts
for erection tablets.
Yes, he did.
Are we still sponsored by Roman on the podcast?
I don't think we are anymore.
Because we are in good company with Pele.
Yeah. I think that one's been and gone, which is what some men say. So this comes in from Pele on December 10th. Hello, Luke, Ollie, and Laurie. I am Lefteres, and I'm from Cyprus, and I live in Leicester. It's quite the change, isn't it, to go from Cyprus to Leicester?
Hey, Leicester's
I didn't say it was a terrible part of the world. Hey, good pork pies and crisps. I would like to introduce you guys to Taz, with lots of Z's. Taz is a short, overweight, ugly baby face, which the fans love because they feel sorry for him for being so ugly. Wait for it. He is wearing a singlet everywhere and he wears glasses like Taz is. Taz is being the wrestler. His theme song is something from Looney Tunes when Taz, the cartoon character, did the twisting thing and it made a sort of a motor sound like zzz. So he doesn't look like Taz, wrestler. He looks like Taz, cartoon character.
Okay. Just because the wrestler Taz has famously thin skin.
Oh, yeah.
And he has called out multiple YouTubers.
He will come after us.
I think we're the only YouTubers who, because we tiptoe so delicately around Taz subjects, that he hasn't come after and started genuine beef with.
Yeah. Even on our, like, when we're behind the paywall, when we've done podcasts, we've been like,
we shut that down.
Yeah, don't say anything bad about Taz. He will come after you. He will suplex you.
So if Taz is watching or someone sends a clip to him into his radio show, we are not insulting Taz. The guy from Leicester is. Where does he live again? Leicester, and his name is Leftarius. So you can.
Well, good pronunciation.
That's quite unique.
Pronunciation.
You can track him down and attack him.
Anyway, his gimmick is a mix of Taz from Looney Tunes and Taz from ECW. He always cuts promos about running circles around his opponents, creating a Taz twister, which is his finisher. Yeah, just running circles around them until the opponent gets dizzy and then faints. As soon as he faints, he grabs the mics and says, zzz, which doesn't mean anything, but does that every time anyway. His wrestling style is a general brawler who avoids fighting his opponents, even though it makes zero sense. Every time he avoids the first punch his opponent tries to throw at him, he turns straight at the hard camera, smiles, and gives a thumbs up even though the opponent is right in front of him. Hope you guys like it. Keep the awesome job for the daily content. Lots of love from Leicester.
I like the name, but I wanted it to go a different direction.
Oh, yeah?
I thought the genius of Taz, with multiple Zs, more than two, crucially, would be the fun of a cease and desist gimmick, where he really is Taz. Like, maybe we just got Taz, but he has been priced out of 4 different name combinations by now.
Yeah.
They've all been trademarked by other companies, and he needs to pay off a beach house. So here he is in Crap Gimmick Wrestling as Taz
with more Zs.
5 Zs.
Yeah.
So I want you to legit pitch a crap gimmick for the real-life wrestler Taz.
We were just talking about how we didn't want to get any beef with Taz, and now you're saying that he's struggling on his beach house payments.
I'm not. In this fictional world. This is all in character.
I'm getting nothing but DMs
God,
from him now. You've done it now. You've gone and made a big mistake. I can't allow you to think you could just walk away.
Or should we sign the scouts then?
Yeah, go on then, yeah.
Just forget that whole Taz bit never happened.
And if you want to submit a question to the mailbag, all you have to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers over on Patreon and leave your comment in the community section. That is quite key. In the community section, do not email it to me. I will lose it. Just putting it out there. It happens. Dan did it.
Dan, number 1 fan, Dan.
Yes, despite the fact I keep saying, in the community tab, email.
He's so good at following rules.
I know. Craig Roberts asks, with Y2J now in AEW, will Vince McMahon feel let down and stop Jericho from going into the Hall of Fame? I mean, my first point would be it doesn't matter because the Hall of Fame is a joke. But secondly, Jeff Jarrett's in the Hall of Fame. The Ultimate Warrior's in the Hall of Fame. Vince's emotions will change with the wind does. Like, Jericho will eventually go into the Hall of Fame for whatever reason.
Yeah. Jericho will finish. I mean, Jericho is getting on a bit. He's what, mid-40s? No, he's like 40. Is he 48, 49?
Okay, Google on there.
Google that one as well. So he's getting on a bit. Realistically, his AEW run isn't going to be forever. 48, yeah. So he's got a style. He's changed it up enough where he can still go at a very good level. But he will be over 50 soon. I think his AEW contract is 3 years, I want to say as well. So that will take him to 51. And then, maybe he signs for a year extra. And then he decides, I'm retired for the first time. And then he waits 2 years, doesn't do anything. That's when Vince will come over and say, hey, want to be the Raw general manager? and you get a Hall of Fame induction out of it and one last crappy run.
And then Stephanie can emasculate you on Raw every single week because
Yeah.
she's the true authority figure.
I mean, it would be interesting to see Jericho in that Mick. I would have said Mick Foley would never let that happen to him, but it did. Kurt was ripe for the pickings, unfortunately.
Kurt walked right into their
In
trap.
hindsight, that was a big mistake. We all knew it. I thought they would take a serious route with Kurt.
No, absolutely not.
But Foley, I thought Foley wouldn't take that for so long, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Chris would get just emasculated around.
Could be. Diamond Crusader with his Do You Remember segment, episode 30 of the Flickering Myth podcast. You told the listeners, I believe they were actually called our congregation,
Yes.
not listeners.
Another thing we stole from Kermode and Mayor's podcast.
You told the congregation how both of you lost your mosh pit virginities. Luke at 14 and Ollie at, quote, almost 30. That podcast was also recorded from both of your respective bedrooms just a few days before the new Ghostbusters movie came out. Ollie's girlfriend also got a slow clap for writing an iTunes review for you. Thank you for being born, and go monk yourself. Diamond Crusader.
I remember Go Monk Yourself. That was
It was our pitch for the next Alvin and the Chipmunks movie.
No, it was the official tagline of Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was Go Monk Yourself or Get Monked or something that just felt wrong to say
Yeah.
on a kid's film.
Uptown Monk or something like that.
Yeah. Monk Yourself. It sounds awful.
I thought it was our pitch for a new film.
Maybe.
I thought we had made that up because it's so terrible.
Maybe I made it up. I can't remember. I can't remember what's real and fake anymore. But yes, I do remember mosh pit virginities. Yours came with seeing your first pair of exposed breasts in real life.
On the same day, yes. But it was at Reading Festival 2000. Watching I'm gonna believe it was.
Terrible band to Google.
They really are. And every time, I think I've told the story on that podcast as well, that whenever my iPod, because it's very, very old and I don't want to buy a new one.
It's got the click wheel.
Yep. It genuinely has. Whenever it resets, because it will do, after it plays about 130 songs, it runs out of memory and it just resets and starts again. By A is always the first song it will play.
Smart.
It is smart. It's one of the most played tracks on my iPod.
My mosh pit virginity was lost when a friend at Glastonbury said, "Hey, let's go check out Bring Me the Horizon. They're really fun." I was like, they sound like a fun rock band. We get there, and before the gig starts, we somehow got right to the front because there was a lot of people who didn't want to be at the front. We didn't really see what was happening. And then this video played. It was like a public safety announcement. Please don't start fires. Don't do this, etc., etc. Ha, ha, ha. Isn't this funny? And then it all just stopped. And a woman's voice said, "Now open this mother effer up." And we were like, well, that's a weird turn of phrase. And then this big circle of death just happened in front of us that we were in. And we were just like, we've made a big mistake. And I turned to Rich, who was the guy who said we should go there. And he says, I don't know what's happening. We shouldn't be here right now. But there was a metal bar behind us. We couldn't get out now. And then a guy just straight wanders into the middle of this circle that's now exposed, wearing a helmet. And all chaos just broke loose.
Yeah.
And I jumped in.
I
got involved.
I believe the lead singer's exact words were, "Now effing kill each other."
Yeah, that terrified me.
To this day, my wife says one of the funniest stories she's ever heard is you recounting that. Zachary Gibson did send me in an email that somehow managed to make it in here, making the suggestion for a Legends belt. The on-air returns of Double J and the Road Dogg have made me wish the returning Legends had something to compete for in addition to putting over new talent. I think we've got enough titles as it is, and I don't think we just need to be giving the Legends titles for the sake of it.
Exactly, especially when that they can only wrestle so many matches at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Who's going to have the belt? I don't like it at all, I'm afraid, because I think the best use of the Legends is to mix it up with the current roster of guys to sort of elevate them, give them that name rub, and eventually, hopefully, put them over. And I would love to see Jeff Jarrett go for the Intercontinental title. I think a Legends division would sort of be a bit of a joke after a
Would
while.
be, yeah.
I wouldn't
take
like it
seriously.
at all. No.
Yeah. Zach also asked that he would like to be Mr. Soon to be recognized Zachary Gibson as his $25 and above name, but I've already picked one out for him. He is Patreon's #1, Zachary Gibson.
That's much better, Zachary.
Yeah. Dan the Man, when do you think the best time is for Cena to capture his 17th title reign, and how do you think it will be? P.S. Love all the work you guys do. Been a fan since the very beginning, and it only gets better as it goes on.
Of course, the correct answer here is at a B-level pay-per-view as a transitional champion.
Yes, that is definitely the way to do it.
No, it should be a full-on Tanahashi one last hurrah thing, and maybe, I can't believe I'm saying this, 2011 Ollie is shaking his hand into the future with fury. He should retire as champion, and then the belt becomes vacant. And he should win that at WrestleMania, and then he should retire the next night on Raw. And then come back 3 years later. But, it'd be a nice moment for that then. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm going to say never. I don't think Cena needs a 17th title reign. Is anyone really clamoring for a John Cena 17th title reign in 2019? I love John Cena as much as the next guy, don't get me wrong. But I'm not looking at John Cena going like, God, I hope he's champion again.
He doesn't need it, you're right. But I just think it would be such a good story to tell.
You want to do this with Kurt Angle as well.
Because it's a great story to tell that usually always works.
Yeah.
Yes.
It works with Tanahashi because people genuinely love Tanahashi.
I genuinely love Kurt Angle.
You genuinely love Kurt Angle.
Genuinely
people
love
chant,
John
"You
Cena."
suck at Kurt Angle."
They do
in
it
a loving
jest.
way. Olivia Brown as a Dean Ambrose question. I've been looking at all the news feeds, and all I see is Dean Ambrose going to AEW. My question at the moment: am I the only one who thinks he could go to Impact?
Yes.
Yes. So I mean, that sounds harsh on both you and Impact, but I think you might be the only person.
I guess there's the intrigue of a Sami Callihan Dean Ambrose match, but if he doesn't go to AEW, I can see him just turning up at a CZW show, kind of in the mold of Pac when he went to Dragon Gate. Yeah,
that's what he said on Jericho's podcast. He said that I'm going to do one more. When I leave WWE, I've got one more death match in me, and then I'm just going to retire, and that's it. I could see
from death matches or wrestling in general.
Wrestling in general.
Wow.
I could see, and we talked about this on last week's show. I think I can see him becoming this CM Punk mythical-like figure of just like, when will Dean Ambrose return to wrestling? And when they hold All In 10, we'll be like, is Dean? And they're gonna go up to make him an offer, but he's gonna say it's not really an offer because I know you gave me a monetary value and a date with some flights, but it's not an offer.
It's vague.
I didn't understand the terms. Craig Roberts asks, I'm in need of some major advice from Luke, Ollie, and Laurie after joining WrestleTalk's Patreon and Inside the Ropes Patreon pages. I'm conflicted as to whether I should join Cultaholics after their shocking behavior towards the SWAF Nation last year. I would say so. Support who you like.
Yeah, if you've got the money for it, you should spread the funds around, the monetary love to as many struggling little wrestling YouTube channels like ourselves. But if you're going to drop... If you have to start cutting people, definitely Cultaholic first, then Inside the Ropes.
Yeah.
And you should eliminate bread before you eliminate your Patreon pledge to us.
Which is probably just good life advice anyway. Juan Gabriel asks, I'm pretty sure the dish Ollie ate called ropaveja.
It is!
Which means old rags or old clothes. It's a delicious dish. Rice beans, tostones,
yes!
fried plantain, and meat with a delectable sauce. I highly recommend it to everyone. It's also a Puerto Rican dish.
Right, yeah, okay. So it had a longer name. It was like Ropa Vieja de Rey Mysterio. Yeah, it was delicious.
Connor Going, once AEW secures a weekly TV deal, as we expect it to do, what do you see the company's initial goals / objectives being? What kind of first steps can we expect to see? Put on a good weekly product, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get
the ratings up. Well, the rating, the money will come from the TV deal.
Yes.
So they'll be making money from the get-go.
But you'd think you want to get that to then do more shows to make more money.
Yeah. I guess, first steps, that's an interesting one. I think you really concentrate on your TV product first for at least 6 months, and you do live shows, and then you start to flesh out your touring schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose the house shows will be that's a huge money driver. Well, it can be anyway.
It can, yeah. I just think now, from the get-go, house shows I wouldn't focus on. I would focus on the TV product and making that as dynamic as possible. Doing like a pay-per-view every 2 months and a proper pay-per-view on traditional pay-per-view services, and then merch. I think that's the Young Bucks' real strength.
I was going to say merchandise will be the one area. I think that's probably where they might, aside from TV, will be where they make the most money. Jack Dolan asks if you could have a Stone Cold beer bash at any beer standing on the turnbuckle. If you could Stone Cold beer bash any beer standing on the turnbuckle, which beer would you choose? I am going to say Carling, because I don't want to waste good beer. Because with a Stone Cold beer bash, all you're doing is cracking 2 cans and then just pouring it over yourself.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that with a beer I like. That's a waste of beer.
I guess Stone Cold's not doing it thinking, oh, I'll waste money here. It's more about the decadence of it, isn't it? So you'd want to be bathed in your favorite thing, chocolate milk. Do I have to have beer? I want it to curdle all over me on a hot day.
Yeah.
Not thirst quenching in the slightest. And it will probably give you a funny tummy.
I was going to say, that churns my stomach a little bit because it reminds me of when I was super hungover. When I was about 16, maybe 17, I was so hungover. And I thought, do you know what's going to make me feel better? A big bottle of Fridge, like the milkshake. And I had the chocolate fudge one because it's the one with Chief Wiggum on the front of it. And I downed the whole thing in one. And then I had a bus ride, and it was very shaky and very wobbly, and I
touch and go.
Threw up on it.
Wow!
In the aisle, threw up in the middle of the aisle.
Was there anything out the other end?
Not for
a twofer.
No, it wasn't a twofer. It was just all up, and there were people at the back of the bus who had to sort of jump over it. Not one of my finer moments, I'll be honest with you. John Smith asks, how were you able to improve / become more confident when it comes to presenting videos? Any advice? Well, some will tell you that I haven't, but
you have. You are awful. Edit yourself. And that sounds like edit yourself as in
front of the camera.
Don't talk as much. No, record yourself and then edit yourself into what you want the final thing to be, and do that for 3 months.
Yeah.
Do that daily for 3 months, and you'll see all the, because no one will hate your presenting style more than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of, I said that wrong. I've got a stupid nasal voice. I sound weird if I don't shout really loudly.
Yeah,
and you develop it that way.
That'd be the same advice I would have, is edit yourself. That was what I did when I first joined WrestleTalk's. I was editing all of my own videos, and that really did help me.
That was intentional.
I know, man. Yeah. It worked because I did need some help. Martin Harmon asks, would you rather live in a world where the minimum cost of jeans is £50, but you get 50 pairs of quality jeans? Oh, hang on, I see. Would you rather live in a world where the minimum cost of jeans is £50, but you get £50 quality jeans, or tabletop games cost a maximum of £10, but you only get £10 quality games? So this stems from very much a podcast discussion we've been having about how I think that clothes are too expensive, and I don't think you need to spend any more than £10 on a pair of jeans. I think spending more than £15 on a pair of jeans is ludicrous and is unnecessary.
I'm of the other opinion where that's a bit crazy talk. So of course I'll go for the £50 one. But what would you go for? Because this is designed for you.
It is designed for me. But I mean, like, that suggests that you can't get decent tabletop games for £10, which you can. You can get loads of really good games for £10 or less.
But what about all the good over £10 quality ones you'll be missing out on?
I spent like £130 on and things like that, like I did for the
just bit like
games.
How often do you buy jeans?
Well, I think I would go for the jeans option, but also if you're in a world where the minimum cost or the standard cost of jeans is £50, then I wouldn't be so head up about it, I guess, because I would just expect them to cost £50. But I would never spend more than £50 on a pair of jeans, because there's no, like that jumper, the one that the blackface jumper that caused all that outrage,
the Gucci one.
Yes, quite rightly so. I thought the most offensive thing about that was the fact it cost nearly £1,000 for a jumper. Who in the world is spending £1,000 on a jumper? Because that is insane.
You're more concerned about money than offending races.
That is terribly offensive. It really was. And it was so short-sighted and so idiotic to release. But also, it was £1,000. That's
Let's be fair. It was about £650.
Okay, so it was $1,000 then. That's still...
It was $890. I don't know where the problem is.
You're saying, oh, well, really, in real world money, it's only 600 quid.
Yeah, in
like,
TK
that's
Maxx.
a fine amount.
In TK Maxx, that will be £400 next year.
£8 this cost, and it's wonderful. £8. £600.
Is that all the questions?
I think that's all the questions.
That's all we've got time for today. Please leave your comments on how much we need pop shields on the mics, but also say how nice this new setup is, because we spent ages on it. And there's more to come with pop shields and hopefully no mistakes. But thank you. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk things. I guess they're not on the laps, they're on the desk. And this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon, where you can get access to exclusive podcasts and other things that begin with P. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. And that was Rambling.